Hello, Internet. So, today we're going to talk about a property that I recently purchased from HUD. If you're familiar with the HUD homes, then what this is some someone purchased a property with a Fannie Freddie loan that was insured by the federal government. That property was foreclosed on for a plethora of reasons, most likely the inability to pay a mortgage payment. The bank went to a sheriff sale or whatever auction was held. They bid the amount that they were still owed on that property, and if another investor was present at that auction, then they could bid higher and receive the property. However, that didn't happen. The bank was the highest bidder. They then sold that property back to the government. The government gave them the money that they were out because it was federally backed. So now the government has a stash pile of homes that are collectively called HUD homes. You can download the app. It's the HUD Home Store app, and you can find properties in your area that are available via this process. So I purchased this one for $42,000, and this is a pretty cool one, just the way we were able to get really creative and finance this home. So let's talk about these numbers. The purchase price is $42,000. I estimate the after repair value to be around $75,000. I think that's on the conservative side. Again, if you were to sell this to a homeowner, I think it could command somewhere in the $90,000 to $95,000 range, just because of the condition it's in and the neighborhood that it's in. So how we financed this property is pretty cool. So we financed from a friend. We borrowed $45,000. Some of you are already thinking that I'm probably a little bit crazy for financing over 100% of the purchase price, but it gets even cooler. So, because he's a friend, he has entrusted us with $45,000. We're putting it in a property that was foreclosed on. So, we're already putting the money back into the community to make the community a better place and to not have a property that's run down or anything. So, we borrowed the $45,000. We bought it at $42,000, so that gives us a credit of $3,000. The terms that we borrowed this money was for 10 years, interest only, and get this, 12%. When you borrow money at 12% interest only, the math gets really easy. The monthly interest payment is 1% of the borrowed amount. So in this case, every month, our mortgage payment is $450. How does this sound? Are you nervous? Let's take a look at all the monthly payments. So these are all the monthly expenses. The mortgage is $450 per month. The taxes are incredibly high. This is probably one of the highest taxed properties that we have. It comes out to be somewhere over $1,800 per year. But the monthly taxes that we need to set aside are $155.75. The insurance, that's $72.58 per month. And the property management fee, again, in the other videos, I mentioned that our property management fee is 8%. We do not handle property management in-house. So our total monthly expense for this property is $754.33. So here's where it gets really cool, is we just placed this property for rent at $950 per month. So the income of the property is $950. The expenses are $754. So that leaves us with a positive cash flow of $195.67. So our positive cash flow is $195.67. And as I've mentioned in the other videos, I do not account for capital expenditures or repairs and maintenance as I'm analyzing properties, because at this point our portfolio subsidizes any poor performing property. So since we have several cash flow positive properties, anytime a capital expenditure or a repair or maintenance comes up, the cash flow where this is included kind of absorbs those costs. My brother and I also don't take any money out of this. We use our normal jobs to meet all of our living expenses. So all of this is excess and going back into the company, either to keep our current portfolio running or acquire additional real estate. So that was the quick sidebar. into why I don't account for it and why I think this cash flow is pretty solid. So now let's talk about how much money I had to put into this to get this property to rent out for $950. When we purchased this property at 42,000, it really wasn't in bad shape. Uh, there were some really horrible paint decisions that were made previously, so we definitely had to repaint the entire house. Unfortunately, also, there was a lot of rain in the area shortly after we closed on the property. So when I first walked into the property, we had a flooded basement. That cost $2,654 to mitigate, and that consisted of sucking all the water out of the carpet. It is a finished basement, as you're about to see, and also setting up some fans and dehumidifiers for a little over a week to get all of that cleaned out. We've also addressed all of the groundwater issues that led to that problem in the first place. So it'll never happen again. For the remainder of the rehab, we spent $7,268 in order to finish the kitchen, redo the bathroom, paint the entire house, and address all the odds and ends things that needed to be dealt with before a tenant could move in. So if you add these two numbers up, what you get is $9,922. So this is the total amount of money that we had to spend in order to get this property rent ready. If you take into consideration the credit that we had because we financed the property for more than we actually had into it, then you get a total of $6,922. So by spending $6,922, what we were able to do immediately was add $33,000 to our net worth. So immediately, just for making this purchase, my brother and I were able to add $33,000 of equity to our net worth. We were also able to increase our monthly cash flow by $195.67. Now, for everybody that is a very conservative investor and this whole setup and how I did this makes you really nervous, then consider this. We are already lesser than 75% leveraged. So, whenever we have the property stabilized, we've owned it for a few years, even though we have a great deal of finance on the property at a really high interest, the property, so long as it's rented out, is able to sustain this mortgage payment. In addition, since we have access to $33,000 in equity, we're able to reapproach a traditional lender, perhaps even a Fannie Freddie loan, and we'll be able to pull out a little bit of cash if we choose, or refinance the property at a rate that is much lower than $450. So just for kicks and giggles, if we were to slash this in half, and let's say at 6%, and let's say this goes down to $225, then immediately we add the $225 to our monthly income. So now this number goes up to around $310 or even $320. So what do you think? Was that a good purchase? If you enjoyed this video, if you want to see more of the deals, how I've structured them, and what all that my brother and I are doing, please like the video, subscribe, comment any questions or concerns that you would like to see answered on this channel, and I'll be more than happy to go over to them. Look forward to talking to you soon.
One of my favorite things about this property is that when we tore up the carpet, we found these gorgeous hardwood floors, which saved us probably about $8,000 in flooring costs. This is throughout, so it was a real treat.